Hi everybody, today we're discussing current issues in the recruitment and retention of quality foster parents. My name is Austin Lowe.
I'm Molly Goodwin. I'm Kendall.
So the first question to ask yourself is, why does this affect you guys? That's because $4.3 billion in tax dollars is spent on the foster care system each and every year. So if you think about all the foster children, even after they age out of the foster care system or grow up into adults, half of them never get gainful jobs. That's because 40 to 50% of them never complete their high school diploma. And 66% of them actually end up becoming homeless, end up in jail, or pass away. So if you think about it, even after these foster children leave the foster care system, a majority of them are still very dependent on the government's assistance in some way, shape, or form. And this is just a domino effect for years to come. So because we don't have enough quality foster parents, we have found effects on children. A lot of children being placed into foster homes that are already overpopulated with kids. And a lot of siblings are being divided up into separate groups. That's because a lot of our foster children are being placed in different states altogether. And then our current problem in pain statement is one of the biggest issues in the foster care system is the recruitment and retention of quality foster parents.
So one solution we found that is currently being used is the Mockingbird family model. And basically it's like a cluster of 8 to 10 families that are in a group, and they have one experienced foster parent within the group. So it's a support network, like the new parents can talk to the experienced parent about any questions or concerns they have. And the experienced parent also must keep 2 open beds available throughout the year at all times. This helps the foster parents because it's really hard to take foster kids out of the state. There's so much paperwork that has to be done and filed and completed for that to happen. Sometimes there's just not enough time. So they can take their kids there to stay for a weekend or a night or a week or whatever they want. They could also help them if they just need a break, if they're overwhelmed and just want to take their kids there to stay the night. This is good for the children too because they don't go to a random person's house. They go to someone who they're familiar with. And in the state that this was completed in, they had an 88% foster parent retention rate when their average before it was just 69%. So it is effective. And this is the Mockingbird family model philosophy. They care about normalization, continuity of care, caregiver support, and their main thing is stabilization to permanency. And that's our main goal too, is a permanent home or adoption for these kids. So we created the Hoosier family model to go off of the Mockingbird family model, and we like the support network, so we're keeping that the 8 to 10 families with one experienced parent in the mix to go to with questions or concerns. We also like the open bed policy. We know that in Indiana not all houses are as big as in some richer states. We thought we would just change that to 1 open bed available at all times. And we decided to add in a weekly support group, so the kids could go, there'll be 1 house per group that you go to each week, and you switch houses every week until you have to start repeating. But all the kids could go there 1 night a week to make friends with people who are going through the same thing as them, and the parents could go to it to get help or advice, or they could just stay home and take a break or clean or do whatever needs to be done. And this could also help the children to make a relationship with the other parents. They could become aunts or uncles or grandparents. They probably don't have a lot of family in the area. And we also thought we could partner with public Indiana colleges to do some tuition assistance. We thought that this would be a good incentive for people to become foster parents so their biological kids could get tuition assistance to public colleges. And if these foster parents do adopt their kids, then the adopted kids could get the assistance too, because we're trying to our main goal is adoption. And we also wanted to add 1 counselor per cluster or support group, because it's hard for the children to adjust to a new family. It's hard for a family to adjust to a new child. So if they could just talk about their problems and find out ways to overcome them, then it would be a lot better and it could lead to adoption.
So in order to make the Hoosier family model work, we have to have people that will utilize it. So as for the foster parents and foster children, this would be a way for them to improve the quality of life and improve the relationship they have between each other. And for the foster care employees, this would include hiring counselors for each social network and hiring people to help run the social networks as well. And for the government of Indiana, this would include giving us funding and paying for these resources as well. As a secondary customer, this would include you as Indiana taxpayers. Since we pay roughly $4 billion in taxes on foster care a year, this would hopefully lower the taxes, because the better the relationship the foster parents and children have with each other, the more likely that they are going to adopt the children. And the higher the adoption rates, the lower the taxes are for foster care, saving you money in the long run. And for our business model, our value proposition is primarily for foster families who need guidance in order to complete this goal. And our goal for those families are to improve the relationships between the children and the parents. And we will provide extra resources and incentives in order to improve the quality of life for both the parents and the children. And we have 3 key partners. We have the Indiana government, child welfare, which is very similar to child protection services, and public Indiana colleges. And as for the Indiana government, they will be in charge of giving us the funds that we need in order to make sure that these key activities actually can happen. As for child welfare, this will be involving testing the model, recruiting the counselors, and licensing. As for testing, we would like to test this model to make sure that it works. We would probably get about 4 to 5 different clusters of families, and we'd have a counselor for each social network, so that would be about 4 to 5 counselors. And we would just kind of give this like a 2-week trial run to see if we are doing the right thing or see if there's anything we need to improve. And as for recruiting, this would include recruiting the different counselors to each social network and hiring the employees to help make sure these things happen. And for licensing, we expect the counselors to be fully licensed and also licensed in family counseling in order to have the proper tools and proper knowledge to help these families efficiently and effectively.
So a couple of our key resources.
Oh, the public Indiana colleges, those will also create grants and scholarships in order to help lower tuition for these students as well.
Okay, so a couple of our key resources are actually, we're going to use the Indiana government webpage to post our program. And they'll be using the social workers to inform foster parents of the program and how it works. And then of course the foster parents themselves who will be enacting the program on a daily basis. And the counselors that will be helping the foster parents and foster children throughout the process. A couple of customer relationships that we'll be monitoring throughout the program. We will be making sure that we're actually getting quality foster parents into the program. And then not only do they get a support system, but a support system that works with them on a daily basis with their children. And then we'll actually be monitoring making sure that it's a decrease in government assistance on taxes by the end of the year.
So one way we thought we could get our model out to people, we thought we could get our model out to current and potential foster parents through churches. We found that churches are a good place to talk about potentially fostering because on average they're more willing to help than other groups of people. We thought we could also post our model on the government website. This would get the word out to social workers and then potential and current foster parents. This would in turn help the foster children because they would have a better support network and a better potential to be adopted. Word of mouth is also a good way to recruit foster parents. We would just hope that people who have a good time with this could talk about it to other people, such as social workers, foster parents, and then the private foster care systems. This would in turn help the foster children again. We would also post a model on the foster care websites to get the word out.
So in conclusion, our main focus right now is on the actual foster parents or retention of foster parents themselves. We have found that foster parents are most effective when it comes to recruiting new parents into the program. So by implementing the Hoosier Family Model, we hope to provide a better support system for foster parents, making the process that much more easier and enjoyable for them, and therefore they'll be more likely to share their experiences with new families coming into the program. Foster parents will be able to answer any questions or concerns that foster parents would have coming in while providing a support system throughout the process. And by doing this, we then hope to reduce the tax dollars spent on the foster care system, as we believe more foster children will be adopted or actually be growing up with a better support system into adulthood. Thank you guys.
Thank you.